Yeah. Well, one, time to get started. You're not leaving already?
No, I gotta get my car.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll wait till you get back. Oh, and why don't you go ahead and put the shirt up here? Yeah. I know. I saw you were one of our very first orders. I noticed. I saw that. They send me a notification every time somebody contributes.
My girlfriend found this one,
Yeah.
but it has a front on the front, so I
Yeah.
don't know where she got it.
Yeah. All right. First off, as always, we start with a prayer. Is there anyone that would like to volunteer to pray for us? Okay. Okay. Oh, well, Wade? Yeah.
Thank you for this opportunity to gather together, to fellowship and to discuss the things that are going on in our country and in our counties. Father, I just ask that you look down upon this, give us all the blessings that you feel we deserve. And Father, thank you for what we do have, and thank you for our families. Thank you for those that love us. I ask that you watch over them and protect them. In Jesus' name I ask this. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Mike, I'd like to have our local Marine hero lead us in the pledge, if you would.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Okay, let's see, a couple of introductions. Wade, stand up. This is Wade Duroy. Wade is he's a past coordinator. Hey, Jay, good to see you, man. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to be disrespectful.
Yes, you did. You do it all the time. What are you talking about?
I didn't figure your ass was gonna be here.
Wade will be taking over as our coordinator in Payne County,
Oh, good, well, thank you.
and he rides a motorcycle, so I know he's a good guy.
Is that Indian I just kicked over?
He's got a gun on. And of course, Joe Baden, who is our K County chairman of the K County Republican Party. They meet the third Thursday at Pioneer Tech every month. The fourth Thursday. Yeah, that's right. In fact,
It's usually
yeah, most time,
It usually is.
yeah. And Also, too, I get special recognition on that page because for now, when I post something on that page, it doesn't get posted until somebody approves it. And everybody says they have no idea why that's happening.
I swear I did not change that. I look into it and I can get set down in front of the computer. And looking at the settings on the phone, it's
Yeah. Well, I told you I had my own theories on that, so maybe I was wrong. Be the first time, and I made it almost 77 years before I made a mistake. How about that, huh?
I would imagine there's been a few others in there. Sprinkled in.
Folks, I've got something, a favor to ask of everybody. Normally, before these meetings, I send out, usually for the Saturday meeting, I send it out on Friday, the flyer with the all the information. I send them out as individual text messages to about 300 or so people. I was in Oklahoma City most of last week. I had a bunch of doctor's appointments, tests being run and everything. And I didn't get home till 10:30 Friday night from Oklahoma City, so I didn't send out those text messages. And as you can see, those of you that have come to my other meetings, this is the smallest crowd I've ever had at this meeting. Folks, I need your help. Share. When I put those flyers up on Facebook, I got those up 3 times this week. Please, when you see that flyer, hit the share button. I get a lot of people that hit like, and it doesn't take any longer to hit share, and that sends it out to all the people on your network, and that would help immensely. I'm hoping to be able to be in a position to continue to send out those text emails, but I've got so many of them, it takes about 3 to 4 hours solid setting up my phone, sending out one text after another. I've looked at these programs where you can send out mass texts, but so far none of them allow you to send out graphics. You can only send out typed message, and they're expensive. So anyway, please spread the word, do what you can to help get the word out, because these meetings are so important. And I'm almost 77, and I've got other things that I'm having to spend time on that I wasn't a year ago. Also, my next meeting will be the Tuesday meeting at Mary's, and that's on July 9. Our last meeting, we had Jeff Krager, our District 3 County Supervisor, and this guy's doing a great job. I've talked to a number of people. In fact, I went over and sat at his office the day they voted for the board, the new board for the K County Fair, the one that's in Blackwell. And we had 50-some people vote, which really surprised me. And I bet there were half a dozen of them that live on dirt roads that said specifically how much better those dirt roads were being maintained now since he was in office. He's doing a great job, so keep that in mind next time, 2 more years when he comes up for re-election. Yes, Joe?
When we get done
Yeah.
with our guest speaker and stuff, would you mind giving us a quick recap of that meeting? Because I wasn't able to make it over there, and I really wanted to hear what all you had to say. I don't know if anybody else in the room.
Yeah, sure. I'll give a quick recap. The 2 big things were the fair, and has anybody heard about the Hubbard Bridge being out?
What's that?
So,
What?
yeah. Anyway, I do have some news on that. Remind me. Okay. Let's see. That meeting is on the 9th, Tuesday, 6 p.m., always second Tuesday. My speaker is going to be Chief-City Manager Nick Payne, which he's been chief for a couple of years in Tonopah, doing a great job. And he also now has taken over the job as city manager. So he's going to be a busy guy, but it should be a very interesting meeting. Now, a couple of... Nick Payne. Yeah, he's our chief and now also city manager. The other city manager left, and the city of Tonkawa, I probably shouldn't even bring this up, but I'm going to. They were paying them each, I think, 60 grand a year. Now they're paying Nick his $60,000 sheriff's salary, and I think $15,000 to be the city manager. So I don't know. I told Nick, I said, I think I'd ask for the whole package. But anyway, that's his business. I just thought it was kind of funny. Also, I got a call this morning, speaking about Tonkawa. They just appointed a transsexual, homosexual, pansexual guy who calls himself Michelle to our Parks and Recreation Board. Yeah.
You know that they're putting a lot of these ABCDD people on library boards.
Yeah.
So when they bring them in to do these special classes for kids,
Yeah.
And somebody bitches about it, they can't because they're on the board.
Yeah.
They're-
Well-
this is a thought out, well orchestrated theme.
Parks and Recreation in Tonkawa is in charge of the youth sports. Yeah, the t-ball, the soccer, yeah. The city council. And I just heard about it this morning from a very reliable source, and I'm gonna make some calls and find out what the hell they're thinking. Tonkawa, Oklahoma, for God's sakes.
That's why they're gonna do.
Because they have a smaller
Thing.
They have an agenda,
Yeah, children.
they
Yeah.
have an agenda.
They're gonna get the little towns everywhere.
Well, I didn't have that on my agenda, but that was the first call I woke up to today. And I hadn't heard a thing about it. I know the guy. In fact, his father is one of my regular attendees. I'm not gonna get into who that is. Okay, 3 more things about our legislature, and then I will get to our sheriff, our skinny new sheriff. Anyway, we had at the very end of the time limit, our governor signed Senate Bill 426. 426 is that President Biden recently signed an agreement to turn our sovereignty over to the World Health Organization, to give WHO, the authority to say that in Oklahoma, we've got to close our schools, we've got to close our businesses, we've got to wear masks, we've got to get injections. They can take over the entire country with this new weapon they've found, calling it public health. Speaking of, WHO is moving on a program. They're trying to get guns declared a public health issue. Okay. Anyway, Bill 426, the governor signed it, gives Oklahoma the authority to tell WHO to stick it. Okay. So now this will lead to court battles because, well, that's the question. It'll go to courts. Okay, that's, but at least we've got some kind of leverage on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, so there were a lot of important bills signed and a lot of things happened this session. And 2 of the biggies, Senator Garvin, Jessica Garvin, she's the one that wanted to make it a felony to point a water gun at somebody. And she's been anti-2A for a long time. She got beat by a young lady, and I cannot pronounce her last name. Do you know how to pronounce her? Satari? What is it? Sacchieri. Thank you, Kyle. By the way, another introduction. This is Kyle McClure. He's one of our coordinators up in Grant County in Medford. Thank you for coming. Always good to see you. And you came down, Sacchieri? Is that, how did you pronounce it? Sacchieri. I probably never remember that. Anyway, but Garvin is out, and she was one of our biggest enemies in the Senate. That's great news for the Second Amendment, and even better news. Yes,
I know where you're going with this.
Senator McCourtney.
Yeah.
You remember Don's big push to get Bullard elected as the future pro tem? And McCourtney won that election. He lost his seat, and in a fairly substantial margin. It surprised everybody.
Took it a while to figure it out, but
Yeah, yeah. Also,
Good riddance, he didn't like law enforcement.
oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah, one of our coordinators down south, his district is in the south, was talking about what a nice guy he was. And I said, well, I don't care whether he's a nice guy or not. His votes are wrong. You know, I'm not going to vote for somebody that just because they're a nice guy. Shane Jett down around Shawnee, and he's been a real hero. And he got the polls were, it was a 4-person race. The polls were saying he might not even make the runoff, and that he didn't have any chance. He was going to come in last of all 4. He won with 50.08% of the vote.
I remember watching that election as it was happening earlier on.
Yeah.
Around 7:15, 7:30, and I saw him down. I was like, oh man, that'll look good. But then to see
It
him
came
pull
through,
out,
yeah.
Yeah.
that felt good, yeah.
Well, and I've gotten to know Shane, become pretty good friends with him, and he is a rock solid. He's the real deal, and he says what he thinks, and if people don't like it, that's their issue. His wife is Brazilian, and he's actually personal friends with that conservative president of Brazil. They ran out a year or 2 ago. But anyway, so we had the Garvin and especially McCourtney were huge wins. And OK2A was instrumental in both of those. The money you spend with OK2A, for instance, on shirts, does some good. You got to be careful who you give money to, because a lot of these groups, like NRA, their overhead's 90-some% because they're paying people $400K a year
ASPCA,
flying around in private jets. Don hadn't gotten his private jet yet. So the money that comes into us gets turned in. Don is the only one that's drawing a salary here. He draws a $500 a week salary. You can make that work in fast food now. And that he's only been drawing that for about 3 years, and it was because the board insisted that he take a salary. Everybody else involved with OK2A is full 100% volunteer. Okay, also on attendance, bring a friend. Folks, it's important to be involved. All of you know that because you're here. I'm 7 days a week on this, one degree or another. All you have to do to get involved is come to a meeting once, or maybe K County twice a month. Encourage twice, but if you just make one, that's fine. But we need y'all out there recruiting because, folks, the whole country is coming unraveled. Speaking of law enforcement, they got these cities. There was some guy just a couple of weeks ago charged with murder 1, and they released him no bond. He's back out on the street. Those illegals that assaulted New York police officers a couple of months ago, they both walked out of jail that afternoon. And what they're doing is they're encouraging these illegals to use violence, and they're doing their best to disarm us. There's a guy in Oakland, 77-year-old guy, my age. 2 men and a woman broke into his house. One of them had what turned out to be a fake gun, but let me tell you, that's how do you tell what kind of gun somebody's got in a gunfight, Sheriff? Yeah, exactly. Anyway, he shot and killed one of the men, and they've got him in jail on murder charges in his own home in the middle of the night. Folks, this is what's going on. We've got to fight this every day. And we're blessed to have Sheriff Kelly here in K County. He's been doing a great job here. And Sheriff, I'm going to turn it over to you now. Finally, I'm going to shut up. Let's give him a big hand, folks. Thank you for coming.
I wrote some notes down because my memory's not as good as it used to be, because we've been doing quite a bit of stuff this past several years, and it's been, gosh, I don't know, Terry, I think one of your first meetings you had here is when I was here, and I don't know how long ago that was, but yeah, that's exactly right. I think you had standing room only in here, and gosh, I don't know, 60, 70 people. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, that,
Company though, I mean, you know,
But we
That's
usually
been
do
like-
have a room full of people.
that was
good.
my first year, you know, we're now, this month, it's 4.5 year anniversary for OK2A,
Okay.
K County.
Good deal. I know I've been to the one in Tonkwall a couple of times, and I always enjoyed being there, but thanks for the invite. Just to kind of give you a little, I know a few of you, a lot of you I don't know. I know, obviously, Terry, Claude back in the back, he follows me around everywhere I go and has that camera in my face all the time. But I'm glad that he's here. Gosh, this man right here, he saved my life one day. I don't know if he remembers or not, but back in 1997, I had a pretty serious accident and wheeled me into the Ponca City emergency room, and I was paralyzed from the waist down. So he's one of the reasons why I'm here today. Sorry. Okay, we'll get past that. So, I've been in law enforcement for almost 27 years now. 26. I love it. I love helping people. I love helping the right people. I love going against the people that try to destroy this country. I started my career right after by accident, to be honest with you. In 1998, I started over at Blackwell Police Department. Worked over there for about 5.5 years. How I got into law enforcement, I had a buddy, was a Osage County deputy, Ian Ewing. I used to ride out with him when I was wearing this turtle shell on my broken back. Had nothing else to do, and he got me excited into law enforcement. And he helped me get a job over there at Blackwell, and he said, I'm gonna make sure that I get you your first arrest. And I ain't kidding you. I started out on Hoots at 2300 or 2301 at night. He calls from his radio because he's worked for the K County Sheriff's Office then. Got a public intox in the parking lot. Holy shit, I was so nervous. I could not hold the handcuff, get that guy handcuffed. My first day, my first minute on the job, and I'm already arresting somebody. But since then, in 2003, I went over to, got hired on to the sheriff's office. One of the reasons why I wanted to move over there, because I knew that I would learn so much more. I would get to investigate everything that I took the reports on. It's a constitutional office, a lot more power. I could voice my opinion a lot more. It just stood for so much more than working for a municipality. Don't get me wrong, being a law enforcement officer anywhere is good, but I believe at the sheriff's office, you have so much a bigger presence. So 2003, I started over there, and in 2007, I was promoted to undersheriff by then Sheriff Everett Van Hooven. Good man. Enjoyed working with him for about 10 years. He retired, and he said that I ought to run for sheriff. So in 2016, we started campaigning, and 2017, I started January 1.
He lived across the street from me when I was a kid.
Ever?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Was it out by Lake Ponca?
No, that was when he still lived in town, lived over on John Street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No.
I just ran across his wife yesterday. We retired one of my deputies, Lorraine Learn. She had 500 years in law enforcement. We had his retirement party yesterday, and son just showed up. Yeah, he's a good man. So I was elected in 2017. I've been your sheriff ever since. I enjoy it. I'm not I'm not gonna be joking around. There's times that, you know, what the hell am I thinking? But, that's with every job, especially nowadays. What I enjoy now is this past couple of years, I've always been a member of the Oklahoma Sheriff's Association. And, now I'm one of the board members, one of the regional board members for that association. And what I get to do that is, I'm the North Central Regional. So I represent 9 counties, from Oklahoma County, north to the Kansas line, west out to Garfield County. I get to voice a lot of my opinions at the Capitol every year. I spend 4 months out of the year at the Capitol, dang near every day. I know it kind of takes away from my presence here in K County, but rest assured, the folks that I have at the sheriff's office right now are some good group of men and women. My undersheriff is fantastic. I feel very comfortable leaving him in charge when I'm gone. Sean Grigsby, I've known him for years. Good, strong, good ethics. So I feel comfortable whenever I have to leave. So what I'd like to do is kind of tell you what we did. I don't have any stats or anything for this year because obviously we haven't gotten through, but kind of let you know what we do at the sheriff's office, because there's a lot of folks out here that don't know. These two up front know because they went through a Citizens Academy along. We do these Citizens Academies, try to every year. We've done 4 of them. We're getting ready to fire one back up in August. Back then it was 12 weeks long. One Tuesday, or Thursday nights from 6 to 9 for 12 weeks. We kind of narrowed it down because they were the guinea pigs, and we kind of figured out we only really need 9 weeks. So 9 Thursdays from 6 to 9. The first class is going to be at the sheriff's office, and the rest of them will be up at Pioneer Tech, with the exception of the firearms day. So we have 3 hours worth of folks get to shoot our guns, if you want to. And I haven't found anybody that doesn't want to shoot a gun, especially the sheriff's guns. So you'll get a chance to shoot our pistols and our rifles. It's a lot of fun. Don't have the simulator anymore. It's out of date, and it's kind of hard to find $50,000-$60,000 laying around. So we have a very good range now. It's even changed even since we've got these folks have been up there. We've spent probably anywhere from $50,000 to $60,000 of grant and donated money on our range. We've got a turning target system now that's, there's nobody in the state of Oklahoma that has it right now that I know of. It's 10 lanes, turning target system where I can run it off an iPad, and you can change each target to do whatever you want it to do. Timed, turning whenever you want it to turn. Technology is crazy, but it's a lot of fun to use. We have just a standalone pistol range now, kind of like a glass house type shooting range. We can use that at the same time use the rifle range. It's pretty safe. We have, I don't want to say long distance rifle shooting now, but it's up to 350 yards. We kind of run out of real estate. We can't back up across the highway, so we're trying to get it to where I can open that up at least once or twice a year. Trying to get our insurance to where they'll allow that. So we'll see. But I would love it if you guys want to join that Citizens Academy this year. Just go on our webpage, and the application process is on there. Just fill it out and send it to me. And you know, it's all you got to do is be a citizen. And, no convicted felons, obviously. we'll get you in there. I think you'll enjoy it. You'll get to know the day-to-day operations of the sheriff's office. It's so much different than municipalities. There's a lot of folks that do the Ponca City Citizens Academy, but it's different. I would hope you all come and join us. I've got 12 applicants so far, and I can take up to 20.
Having been through it, it's definitely worth the time to invest.
You'll get to meet a lot of the deputies. It's just not gonna be me standing up talking. We've got everybody involved. And we've got a lot of new folks. I only have 4 people on my staff now that's been there longer than 5 years. It's just the changing of the guard. It's the way it is. We've lost people to higher wages, better benefits. A couple of, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe in last year, the governor gave all the state agencies a 31% increase on wages. And that really hurt municipalities and counties on keeping good folks. And we can't blame them. I mean, you got deputies out making $25,000, $28,000, $30,000 a year, getting shot at, spit on, hit on. You know, sheriffs out west were making $38,000 as an elected official. So we're losing good people. The highway patrol have opened up what they call a bridge academy. They don't have to go through the full academy. If you're CLEAT certified state of Oklahoma, they're taking applications for those folks, and you only have to go through, I think, a 14, 16-week academy now. So, and those folks coming right out of the academy are making more than what I do as an elected official. So, can't blame them, but it sure is tough on us. We're losing good folks. For me to send somebody, get them trained and certified and everything, it costs the county right around $23,000, $24,000 once they clear FTO, and then after a year, someone takes them from me. So it's not fun.
It's gotta be something that they wanna do.
Exactly. Right now on the sheriff's side, I've got 26 employees on the sheriff's side, 14 gun toters, rest dispatchers and clerical staff. We have been able to give some small raises to keep some of the deputies 3 years ago. We've got a new K-9, just got him put on the road just a few weeks ago. His name is Knox. Outstanding K-9, German Shepherd. That thing acts like he's on crack cocaine. He is. You would think he's a Malamar, but he's not. He's a German Shepherd. Deputy Dakota Jarvis is our new K-9 handler. Our last K-9, we simply just had to take him out of service because he had a tumor come up on his hind end, and we had to do some surgeries, and he gained a lot of weight because of it. So we had to take him out of service.
That's my name, Zeus.
Yeah. We were able to take some donated money that we got and was able to purchase this new one out of Tulsa. It included also not only the purchase of the animal, but it also gave us 4 weeks of school too. So very excited about Dakota being, he's from Tonkawa. And he's wanted to do that for several years.
They live with the officer that they're teamed with, right?
Exactly, they will from now on. John Stever, my lieutenant, that was our K-9 handler, he's been through 2 dogs. First one was German Shepherd. We had to put him down. He just got old. And then the next one was Zeus, and he was just frankly ready to give it up. He had been a K-9 handler since 2009, I believe, and ready to do something different. But yes, Zeus still lives with Deputy Stever. He'll die with him. So, let's see what else. Let's see. Last year we did some command changes. So my command structure was myself, under sheriff, I had a captain, then we had 2 sergeants, one on days, one on nights. The captain retired this year in September. Last year. Bill Gross, and I decided at that time to do away with the captain spot. And the reason why I did that was to be able to take his salary and just promote 2 sergeants to lieutenant and use the rest of the salary to gain an extra patrol deputy, which makes more sense to put another man on the road than create a command level. We're considered a pretty smaller agency, so that's what we did. It's worked out great. Got 2 lieutenants, one on nights, one on days, and we'll be promoting another gentleman to sergeant in the near future. We got courthouse, so part of my job is courthouse security. We've always had 2 courthouse deputies full-time. Now we've opened up an additional courthouse deputy position. We're trying to get filled now. One of the reasons why we asked for a third was we did a remodel. Everybody voted in K County for a remodel tax on the annex and the courthouse. They finally, I'm not gonna say they're done, they're almost done with the remodel of the courthouse. If you've ever been up to our courthouse in Newkirk, it's a fabulous building. I think it was built in 1926, if I remember right, 28. But you will not recognize that thing on the inside now. It's basically broke up. One floor is court clerk, next floor is judicial, nothing but DA's office. And we've got an additional courtroom now. We've got 4 courtrooms in that building instead of 3. So they should be able to push the judicial system a little bit quicker, I hope, in K County. It's always needed a little extra help, in my opinion, in moving the court system along. So hopefully this will help. The jail, we moved into our new jail, sheriff's office in 2010. At that time, it was built as a 321 bed facility. Now, our capacity has changed up to 366 if need be. Our average right now is about 350. Now, out of that 350, 260 are county waiting to be sentenced inmates. So they've been charged and they're waiting to go through the judicial system, whether or not they get released or go to prison or whatever. The rest of them, we have contracts with BIA and ICE. The reason why we do that is so we don't have to spend so much taxpayer money to keep that thing operated. It takes a lot of money to operate that thing. We just signed the new budget for 24-25 yesterday. And if those of you don't know, the sheriff's office is separate from the jail now. In 2008, the commissioners at that time decided to make it a jail trust authority. So what that means is the sheriff is not directly in charge of the jail side. At first, it concerned me to do that, but over the last several years, I've learned to love it because it's allowed me to focus all my attention on the criminal side of my job and the political side, obviously. That jail side is a full-time, 1,000% full-time job. And so with that being said, I am the chairman of the Jail Trust Authority. I was all last year, and I was voted in again yesterday as the chairman for this coming year. So what that means is I'm still in charge of the budget side, financial side, and the jail director reports to the jail trust board, which is a makeup of 5 people. Myself, by law, the sheriff has to sit on the board, and then 1 county commissioner has to sit on the board. The rest are nominated volunteers from K County. The jail, I'll just come out and say the budget we approved yesterday was $6.8 million, just on the jail side.
Is that enough?
Yeah, we made sure that it was more than enough, just in case. I will tell you the tax base in 2018, whenever the voters went and passed the 2/3 of a cent to build that facility, it meant that in 20 years we had to have it paid for, and 1/3 of that was going to drop off, and we'd keep 1/3 for maintenance and operations. That's not going to be enough. I'm here to tell you right now that 1/3 of a cent is not going to operate that jail. It's just the rising cost over the years is just the food alone is crazy. The health insurance is crazy. It kind of irks me that we have to pay for people that's incarcerated for their health and dental. Folks, that's just the way it is, I guess. Last thing I want to do is get the citizens of K County sued, and then we have to pay for a lawsuit for somebody that's been incarcerated because we violated their medical rights. I mean, nobody's ever sick until they come to jail. Nobody has ever found religion until they come to jail. Nobody has ever turned down beans and cornbread until they come to jail. So, that's the hand we are dealt with, so it costs money. And that's one of the reasons why we have to do these contracts. That 2/3 of a cent basically generates about 2.6 to $2.8 million. So we have to make up the difference somehow or another, and that comes along with the contracts that we have. Now, I get a lot of questions whether or not, what do we do with those detainees, immigrants? I'm here to tell you, whether you believe me or not, none of those folks are ever released out the front door of that jail. We pick them up, we are paid to pick them up from wherever we go and pick them up at. And then whenever they tell us that they're ready to ship back to their country, we take them right back where we picked them up at. And then they're hauled off. With a lot of citizens that thinks that, you know, if their asylum is granted, then they're walking down the streets of Newkirk. That is not true. So, we made about $3 million, $2.8, $3 million off them folks last year. And that's just not ICE, that's BIA, Bureau of Indian Affairs contracts that we have as well. What else does it do? It also generates jobs. Before we had those contracts, our jail staff was about 30 to 32 folks. Now we're sitting at 72, just because of those contracts. So it has created some good, strong jobs back there in the jail. So our responsibilities at the jail, or at the sheriff's office, with those 26 staff members, we cover quite a bit of ground, 940-ish square miles. I think our population's right around 44,000. We, those 13 full-time deputies, we usually have about 2 or 3 deputies on per shift if they're not on transports. We do a lot of transports. We cover civil process. We serve anywhere from 120 to 150 civil process papers every month. And those monies come to my budget to where I can afford to send people to training and buy equipment.
those be like eviction notices?
Evictions, divorces, protective orders, you name it. Any kind
A
of.
significant part of your time allotment for your people.
Yeah, it is. I usually have one deputy on days that will spend most of his shift serving those papers.
Isn't that something that could be somebody that's not, had been through the training and the expense of becoming a deputy? Isn't that type of thing something that maybe another group of people could be hired to do that?
Well,
Would that work?
maybe back in the day, a few years ago, maybe. I don't feel comfortable. I want somebody that's certified, trained, and ready to go.
Liability.
We've lost some good deputies just for them going out and serving an eviction notice or just a simple civil process, have been shot and killed. You go to Logan County, we had a deputy down there, Deputy Wade, that was trying to serve an eviction notice on a resident, and the person that shot and killed him wasn't even associated with that residence. And it was just an everyday thing that he's done 1,000 times before. So you gotta be on your guard. I've changed the ways that we do things like that. We do serve protective orders or eviction notices. I'll try to have 2 deputies there instead of just 1 now. So you just never know who you're gonna deal with.
Yeah, fair enough.
Transport, that's one of the things that's different between municipalities and my office is whenever somebody gets a warrant put out on them, it goes through district court, and I'm the officer of that court. So if someone takes off and goes to Texas, Louisiana, California, you name it, wherever they get picked up at them, it's a big enough warrant. I've got to make arrangements to bring them back. I'm not going to Chicago, California to pick somebody up on $1,000 misdemeanor. But I have to go get them if they're $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 murder warrant or sexual assault, something like that. We've been to Florida, Fort Lauderdale, 3 times this year, picking people up from prison to come back and stand trial here. California a few times, so that's taken my deputies. I have to send 2 on federal transports, or they just won't release them. So we're 2 deputies off the road out of the county for 4 days on transports like that. I'm trying to look into flying those folks if it's gonna be, the way it only takes away maybe 2 days. But it's so hard to fly armed, even in law enforcement nowadays, so we're gonna look at trying to save a little bit of time. Juvenile transports, that's another big thing, and I could stand up here for 5 hours talking to you about juveniles. I just wish we would get back to whenever I was growing up and get my ass kicked whenever I did something wrong.
Amen.
I think that would solve a lot of our juvenile problems nowadays. But parents are so afraid to swat their kids nowadays that fear of going to jail. I can tell you, I'm not putting no parent in jail if they're swatting their kid. I don't care if it's with a belt. There's a difference between beating your kid and beating your kid. Yeah. If you swat them with a belt buckle, that's a little different. If you swat them with a belt, it's okay. So, good.
What about paddleboard?
Huh?
Old school paddleboard?
Oh, well, yeah, ain't no problem with that. It just depends on where you use it at.
On their backside.
So, the juvenile detention, anytime a municipality arrests a juvenile and the judge says he wants them in a detention facility, we're contracted with 11 facilities in the state of Oklahoma. There used to be 13, but I've canceled a few of them just because of the rates. Anywhere from $60 a day per head down to $35 a day per head, and then it gets really expensive. That comes out of my budget. You as taxpayers have to pay for that. So when they Ponca arrest one, they say they gotta be transported. I have to send a deputy to transport them. A lot of them go out in the Panhandle area. Woodward, Hooker, Cleveland. If we get lucky, we'll go to Enid. And one juvenile will minimum of 2 trips, 2 round trip trips. Does that make sense? A lot of times we'll make that 4 times to 6 times. It just depends on the court process. If they're sentenced and they have to go to hold a prison for juveniles, we'll go 6 to 8 times because we've got to go get them, bring them back to court every damn time. And if they get an abscess tooth, and this will drive you nuts because it drives me nuts. For some reason, Oklahoma Juvenile Affairs will not contract with a local. We have to bring them back to where they come from for the doctor's appointments and dental appointments. So I'll have to drive clear out to Woodward and bring them back to Ponca City for a checkup. That's a lot of windshield time and a lot of deputy hours for I've fought this, but I don't know. I'll keep fighting for it.
What's their reasoning on that? Have they given you any reasoning?
A lot of it's got to do with the parents, what I believe, so the parents
They
don't
wanna
have
be
to drive out
friends
there.
instead of parents.
Because they're using a doctor here, they want them to use the same doctor. It's not the state, it's not the county's fault that kid got in trouble.
So does your deputy have to escort him the whole time? Like when he
Yes.
goes to the doctor?
Yes, we have to go out and get them, bring them back here, and then take them back out.
Who's overruling you, Steve?
The state.
State?
Yeah.
Well,
I
that's
don't know if that's
that maybe-
something legislated we need to get changed, put into law or not. I don't know. We need to start working on something because that's a lot of money. I don't know how many juveniles we have in our contracted facilities right now, but every Thursday we're going to court. Every Thursday, my juvenile transport guy's going somewhere.
Do they reimburse you for it?
Mileage, and that's how I'm able to pay somebody part-time, is that I'm reimbursed the mileage and I use every bit of that money to pay a part-time. But the detention side, what it costs there, comes out of my maintenance and operations budget. And, I'll tell you, 5 years ago, it was costing anywhere from $120,000 to $130,000 a year. Now we're down to about $60,000 to $70,000.
That sounds like that's something that should be addressed at the state legislature could change that, correct?
I would think so, yes.
Or maybe that's something we need to look at to.
We've looked at building our own juvenile facility on the end. We're not landlocked. And I think in a couple more years, we may have enough money to do that. Because the ICE contracts I was telling you about, we're making money. It's just, as long as we're able to hang on to that savings and not have to put back in the facility we got. But the thing is, you gotta think about the rules and regulations on juvenile facilities is so much more than an adult prison. If you go anything above, I think 18 or 20 beds on a juvenile facility, you gotta start hiring full-time nurses, doctors, teachers, counselors on staff. And that's where it gets expensive, right? And for it to benefit K County, I would have to have at least 8 to 10 beds reserved just for our county. So I wouldn't have to go anywhere else. But then I would need enough beds to rent out to pay for that facility. So, gosh, you're looking at 25, 30 bed facility, in my opinion. So kind of a catch-22, whether we keep contracting with somebody else or try to do it ourselves. Yeah.
I was just thinking about like freight companies, LTL, stuff like that, where you have a driver that picks up a load, takes it out of here, drops it off.
Louder, please.
Picks up somebody like an LTL freight company. Okay, so, I mean, I'm assuming that every other county in Oklahoma goes through the same issues with having to go out to California or Florida or whatever to pick up people. Same thing with the juveniles and stuff like that. I mean, do you think another state agency that is like a shared resource between all those county sheriffs? Where you are not.
We have that very same thing. We have that capability of networking with other sheriffs throughout the US.
Mhm.
And it has worked. It's just the timing has to be so perfect. Because usually the judicial system only gives us a week to 2 weeks to get that person picked up and brought back for court. And then we may have to take them back so they can finish the sentence where they're at. And to contract with somebody like what you're talking about, they may not be running through the state of Oklahoma or Kansas or a neighboring county for a month. So we've used them once or twice, but it was somebody that we didn't have to have back on a deadline. So, but we do that, but that's just for adults. We don't have anything like that for juveniles, because all of our juveniles stay within the state of Oklahoma.
Well, I meant an organization within the state.
Well, it's kind of like amongst the sheriff's offices. It's not a company.
Right.
Now, there is transport companies out there that we have used and contracted with to haul adult prisoners. Only time I use those folks is if they're out on bond with the bail bondsman, and the bail bondsman have to pay for that transport service. Those transport services may cost anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000. So we'll contract with them, but that's when the bail bondsman pays for those. If they're not on bail, on a bail bondsman, then I have to take care of that, so I have to be real careful how much money I use to get them back home. Yes?
How frequent is this going distances to get somebody back, either juveniles or adults?
Juveniles, like I said, it's just dang near every Thursday.
Every Thursday.
And that doesn't count whenever somebody arrests a juvenile. It may happen 3 or 4 times a week. It may not happen at all.
Yeah.
It just depends.
Okay.
The adult side, I would say, like, the court will issue a writ to bring them back for court probably two to 3 times a week, maybe.
Really?
At the most. We have gone and got 6 or 7 adults out of prisons in 1 week before. It just depends.
Sure, and just timing.
The Cherokee and another tribe recently gave state agencies the registration and other information on their vehicles, so like the Highway Patrol could access their registration when he pulls them out. There's still some that don't. Are you involved with any of that? Like Everett, or
yeah, the
Tonopah
ones-
and Osage and all those, are those?
So the local tribes, we have really 7 tribes in the K County area, 5 that have active law enforcement, or I'm sorry, 4 active law enforcement, which is Oto. Ponca tribe is BIA now. Call, Tonkawa. We have access with Ponca tribe tags. It's kind of primitive in my opinion. It's a sheet of paper with all their tags and names on it. It's not kept up to date. The Tonkawa tribe, we have access through OLETs, and we also have access through the Call tribe through OLETs. And that's what every law enforcement in the state of Oklahoma through OLETs, the Oklahoma Law Enforcement, it's the computer system. So we can run those tags. The Call tribe, Tonkawa tribe, the Cherokees, all them, ones that are nationally recognized, yeah, we can do that.
A while back, somebody talked about the red flag law, and the sheriff could have more power than that FBI or whoever it is comes in. I know we don't have red flag. It's not supposed to happen in
I
Oklahoma.
think we had this discussion, Terry, I think the first time I was here. You know, there's been a couple of senators and representatives trying to get a couple of laws passed for several years now. It's basically giving the sheriffs the right to arrest federal law enforcement if they try to do things that we don't agree with. In my opinion, that's never gonna pass. But when you come to the red flag laws, I endorsed, and I also got our county commissioners to endorse the letter to do away with that. Gosh, I don't know, Terry, was that 6-7 years ago, maybe?
Now, if I remember correctly, out of the 77 counties, we were the 9th county. You were at the top of the list on that sanctuary, declaring K County a
Sanctuary.
sanctuary,
Yeah.
Second Amendment county.
I think this is the way I look at it. If I'm never gonna take your guns away unless you are, one, a convicted felon, or you've done something to violate state law or the Constitution. You know, whenever a judge hands down for instance, a protective order against somebody that has committed a felony, on those protective orders, it gives an order for me to take their guns temporarily until they go to court. That's the only time that I'm gonna do that, when I'm ordered by the court to do it. It's just like, you know as well as I do, this gun that we wear on the side of our hip, you know, it's not the gun, right? That thing right there is not gonna shoot and kill you, right? I can leave that son of a bitch sitting there 365 days a year, and it's not gonna kill nobody. It's whenever it comes in my hand. So it's the people that we have to watch out for. You know, I think the Supreme Court ruled June 16th, 14th, that overturned the bump stocks. I don't know what your opinion is on the bump stock. You know, they did that claiming that it turned the gun into a machine gun, right? I think the Supreme Court justice said it pretty good, was that when you pull the trigger of that gun, one bullet comes out the end of the barrel, right? You don't pull the trigger one time and 5,000 rounds come out all at once, right? So that bump stock doesn't make a difference, in my opinion. It's what is attached to that bump stock is what the problem is.
And it's, in a lot of ways, it's just a toy, because it's damn hard to be accurate with those things.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you are elected to your position by the people in the county. And you, when you were elected to that position, you swear an oath to the Constitution and to the Constitution of the state of Oklahoma, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, and that's kind of where a lot of us look at this, is that the county sheriff, whether they're in Oklahoma or Kansas or California or whatever,
Let's
they
not go
are,
as far as California. Okay, go ahead.
technically speaking, as much as we may not like those people out there, they are the highest law enforcement authority in the county, period. And that's how a lot of us see you or people in your position.
Yep.
So when we say, you know, where's your stance on if a federal agent comes into our county and wants to basically violate our rights,
How do you
under the color of law, they'll do this. And I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But we all see a lot of these videos that play on YouTube where you have an FBI agent, ATF agent or whatever, go to someone's house under the guise of, well, you bought a solvent trap, you know, and are trying to violate this person's, they're trying to enter their property to, search for something or whatever. And it's an illegal search. And we just want to know that if something like that were to ever happen here, that we could call you and that you would have someone come and interdict on our behalf as citizens of K County, step in between us and those federal agents and make sure that the law is being followed, that the Constitution is not being trampled on by those people coming in.
You know, and I've said this for the last 8 years. I will always step in between federal agents and the citizens of this
Okay.
county.
And that's kind of where that question is.
If you are not violating state and the Constitution, I will stand in on your behalf.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Doesn't have to be that ATF doesn't murder you first, because they've done
Or
that
shoot your dog.
as recently as this year. in
I've
this
had folks that play the what if,
Yeah.
all right? There is a million what ifs that can happen. So I always try to tell everybody, take that situation and we'll deal with it. All you gotta do is call.
Yeah, well, I just think about like that situation with the guy in Arkansas, the guy that worked for the airport. And the local law enforcement there, they just kind of, okay, you guys can come and do whatever you want. And the ATF or whatever had the opportunity to execute this search warrant on the guy's property when the guy wasn't there a week before. And you can see videotape of them. They all grouped up in a Walmart parking lot and they were gonna go, and then they decided not to go because the guy wasn't home, which is stupid because the search warrant was for his house, not for him. So then they waited a week later, and again, the local law enforcement was participating in this. So then they go and beat this guy's door down in the middle of the night, early morning. What would you do if someone comes crashing through your front door at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning with no lights on? You're gonna come out of your bedroom with a gun. And that's exactly what happened. And then, well, wouldn't you know it, he's dead. And, oh, we don't have body cams. So that's that. I don't think that any of us really truly think that that's gonna happen to us, but that's what our fear is.
You never know. And we serve search warrants all the time at night or during the day. It just depends on the circumstance. It just depends on if it's a danger to us. We always try to do a knock and announce first.
Yeah, do you guys do any no knock?
We have done no knocks, and the reason is because we know that there is a convicted felon in there with multiple firearms. And obviously, we want the element of surprise, don't we? I don't want my guys to die when I know a convicted felon's in that bedroom with multiple firearms. So we want like I said, every circumstance is different. We can't just take a general rule and say,
Right.
let's just do it this way. We have to make sure that we are doing it safe, not only for my guys, but everybody.
I have a question about the budget, but I'll wait till someone else has.
Do you have a SWAT team or special?
Announce to you before they come into the county to do something?
What's that?
Aren't the feds supposed to contact you before they come in?
Yeah, good luck with that. We've had it, I'll tell you, I've had my run-ins with ATF, I've never had any issues with the FBI before, because they don't do anything anyways. We have bank robberies and they show up after the fact. ATF, I've had a couple of cases where I had probable cause, good solid evidence on illegal stuff going on, and I handed it over to them, and I waited 5 years and found out that they didn't do a damn thing. So I really don't have much good things to say about ATF right now.
You're in the right crowd for that.
They have installed cameras in this county before, and I ran across them by accident on telephone poles.
Whoa.
And they've gotten taken down, and they had to come see me before they got them back. So whenever they show up in my county and I find out and they didn't, give me the courtesy, do they have to? They don't have to. But it's a courtesy to let me know what they're doing in my county. We do it, all the locals, we all get together and let us know what we're doing, because we may be working the same person for different cases. The highway patrol, listen, we work good with all the locals here. We all have joined together. Do I have some issues with the command structure on highway patrol? Yes, I do. Do I like the DPS director right now? I'll tell you point blank, I think he's a liar. I don't like him. And if he was standing here today, I'd tell him to his face, because I have. It's just because we have differences on training and what their job should be and what my job is. Your governor has, the last couple of years, have tried to turn this state into like the state of Texas. He wants to do away with the sheriff's office. He wants to do away with the local law enforcement. And he wants DPS to take over all law enforcement. And the Oklahoma Sheriff's Association has fought that the last 2 to 3 years. And I hope it never happens. It'll never happen if the OSA has anything to do with it, or the National Sheriff's Association has anything to do with it. The OSA, Oklahoma Sheriff's Association, swings a big stick here in the state of Oklahoma. That's the reason why we, board members and all of us, show up at the Capitol 3 or 4 months out of the year. Whenever we feel like there's bad legislation getting ready to be passed on the floor, we all show up. And believe me, whenever we see the senators and the reps look up in the gallery and see 15, 20, 35, 40 sheriffs sitting up there, it's hard for them to vote against us. It works.
That's good.
We've got, in my opinion, really good reps and senator right now that listen to us as sheriffs. I play their little political games. I know, we all know, if they're sitting on the floor or getting ready to vote on something and they don't answer my text messages, I'm looking right at them on TV. I'll keep texting. I say, hey, I can see you on TV. I've said that to Senator Coleman more than once. But anyways, we can't get rid of, obviously you don't want to get rid of the sheriff's offices, right?
Only elected law enforcement in the state.
Go ahead.
Do your deputies and you wear body cams for your protection?
Yes, we all have dash cams and body cams, and we just purchased brand new ones. We're going from WatchGuard to, I don't remember the name of them, but we just got through spending $92,000 on brand new body cams. They haven't come in yet, but what I like about these new body cams is that if my deputy's out on a call, I can log into that body cam and I can see live view.
There's not really a service all over in the area.
We have service everywhere because I have dash mounted Wi-Fi things.
Yeah.
I'm not big on, I'm sorry, technology stuff. I have a guy that does that and he tells me how it works, so. The body cams, I'll be able to log in if I need to, and if he needs help, it's GPS, where I can look it up and see exactly where he's at, or that camera's at, let's just say that.
Is your dog one?
No, but the deputy that is along with the dog does.
I didn't know if they put them on the dog or not.
But they're well worth the money. They have saved, those body cams have saved the county taxpayers a lot of money in lawsuits.
I worked at the sheriff's office in the 90s. And there were times when, as dispatcher and jailer, when I dispatched, there were times that I had to send a deputy out on a really dangerous call and I didn't like it.
Well, back then we didn't have nothing.
Yeah, back then they didn't have nothing.
We didn't even have handheld radios back then.
We'd get another officer started that way too.
So with the cameras, do you have sound? Do you get sound when you're looking through, checking them?
Yeah, I can hear
cameras, you get sound.
video and audio,
Okay.
yes. I'm sorry, yeah, sure can. And there's some other technical stuff that's supposed to go along with it. It's supposed to be able to dictate what on paper for us and all that other stuff. I don't know, it's crazy.
On the data, on the cameras, they record continuously, but then when the deputy triggers it, it backs up so far. And then
You can set it-
it actually saves that.
Yeah, you can
But
set
they
it up
are
to 2 minutes.
continuously going.
You can set it up to 2 minutes pre-record and post-record.
I was gonna ask a question about the budget. So you said that the 2/3 cent is not gonna be enough, let alone the 1/3.
A third of a cent won't be enough.
Okay, so the 1/3 of the cent was gonna equate to about 2.7, 2.8 million ballpark.
Yeah, give or take.
Let's just say 3 for round numbers. Now, in our current jail, you can hold about 365,
366.
366. Back 27 years ago, when you first went into law enforcement, what was the capacity of the jail?
It was a 108 bed facility in 1985.
Okay, and how, on average, how full was it back then?
When I became, see, I didn't care about that stuff until I became undersheriff in 2007. So I couldn't really tell you. I just put them in there.
Right.
And in 2007, I started in the political.
I have a direction I'm going with this.
So, in 2007, that was 85% of my job was the jail. And any given day, we had 130.
Would you say that the population of the county has increased or decreased since then?
It's decreased.
So we had a third or less of the beds with more population than we do now, and we're struggling with the budget to house over 3 times the number of prisoners. What do you, in your opinion?
Now, I want you to understand the difference between population of county inmates and contracted inmates.
I'm talking about the
So
county.
our county population is roughly 250, 260 on average. So to house 200, let's just say, to house 260 county inmates is probably gonna cost right around $2.8 to $3 million. And my budget in the old facility with 108 bed facility, the county commissioners, we didn't have a tax back then, obviously. They gave me $200,000 a year. And I had to make up the difference. It usually costs us right around 800-ish to operate that facility. So I had to go out and make money via inmate telephone system, commissary, stuff like that. So the huge difference. Whenever we went out to attack, we had a board put together of 7 board members back then. And we went around to, I don't know, 6 or 7 facilities to try to figure out what we needed in K County. And I'll tell you, in 2008, we would have never guessed in a million years that we would have filled a 321 bed facility. Because we were averaging 130. In 3-ish years, there was one point that where we were at 300 inmates in that facility. 3 years of being open.
I was just kind of bringing up the point of we have more people than we do now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I didn't know what your opinion was of why it's like that. But
Because if you got the beds, they'll fill it. When it comes to the judicial system. Sorry, this is
We've got time for one more question. You're it.
This is reference to graffiti from Sunny Days. Does the sheriff office in Kate County investigate white collar criminals? If so, why do these white collar criminals in Kate County, Ponca City, brazenly continue their criminal activities?
White collar crimes. You're talking about larcenies and stuff like that?
Well, like money laundering. And
Oh,
fraud
money laundering.
and How, that Sunny Days. they
It's
spent
not
like
just
120,000.
exclusively white collar crimes.
Scams, and we deal with scam artists all the time. And that's basically what you're talking about. Locally, yes, we deal with that every given day, and we try to prosecute those folks any given day because they're stealing, but the legislators have changed our rules, our laws, to where it benefits the criminals, in my opinion. We've changed felonies to misdemeanors, and I'll give you an example. If you go out and steal something that's more than $1,000 or less than $1,000, then it's a misdemeanor, right? It used to be a $500. What can you buy for $1,000 nowadays? That's, you know, you can't even buy a cell phone. So if someone goes steals your cell phone, it's a misdemeanor, $800 cell phone. That's a lot of damn money in my opinion. And we've got the casinos in our county that people commit a lot of crimes that should be felonies, but they're misdemeanors and they run into Kansas. And is it worth for me to go up into Kansas and bring somebody back on a misdemeanor and cost the taxpayers $5,000 versus a $500 misdemeanor crime? We've done it, we continue to do it, but I don't know that it's right. We need to change our legislation back to where it benefits the victims, not the criminals.
Amen.
Yeah, just one quick question. Have you noticed a huge influx of illegals into our county?
Not this county.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
That's it for questions.
I just have a silly one.
No. They've got a funeral here at the church this afternoon.
Okay.
So we don't have flexibility, okay? I'm sorry, I wish we could go on for another hour or two.
I didn't even get halfway through my list, to be honest with you.
We'll have to come back. And I'll
We'd
get you a
love for you
bigger
to come
crowd.
back.
Come back, give us some more information.
Steve,
Well, thanks
can
for
you take a
coming.
picture of the church
Very
like that?
much so.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, give him a hand, folks.
Thank you.
And I got a couple of things. Very informative.
He just wants to talk, that's why he's kicking me out.
No, I know better than to kick out anybody with a gun and a badge.
I can stick around if you got any questions.
Oh, cool. Okay, a couple of things. Can I have my shirt? There it is. Folks, OK2A.org. Go on and order a shirt. They're only going to be up for a limited time. And all of the money goes into our coffers to help us with our political mission here in Oklahoma. So, and, I mean, in fact, I stated on the deal, you're doing some good and you look damn cool doing it. So, also, the reference to what Commissioner Krager talked about last week or 2 weeks ago in Tonkawa, the Hubbard Bridge is scheduled to be rebuilt starting in 2025. Well, that's better than, at least there's something going on with it, right? And technically, it's not in his district. It's kind of very adjacent to it, but it concerns everybody in the county. So it's a lot of money, and it's my understanding the first bridge was poorly designed, and that's why it got washed away. And he's confident that they're going to do this one right. The other thing he covered, the K County Fair at the up in Blackwell, that's been run by a board in Blackwell since, well, over 100 years. And they just didn't have enough people up there that were willing and had the time to put into keeping it going. So what they've done, there are now 3 members each from each of the 3 districts in K County, and then there's some additional members. Do you know where those additional members come from, Sheriff?
All 3 districts.
Right.
Get 2 members.
I thought it was 3. Yeah. Okay, and I thought there were maybe somebody, anyway. Okay, and it's still all going to be at the fairgrounds in Blackwell, and I've got a history there. I was at NOC in 1965, 66, and I went to the fair, so that would have been, October or September of 1965. There was a tent set up by itself at the back of the fairgrounds. That was the very first place I saw an all-nude dancer. Was at the K County Fair. So, and you know something? I've talked to a bunch of people and told them that, and there's nobody else in K County that remembers that, or perhaps admits to remembering it. This is a different word, huh? What's it? Oh. Anyway, so that's the deal. The fair is going to continue, and it should be much more better organized and run. I understand this last year it was kind of thin on the ground. So that were the two main things he covered. If you want to hear what the people say at the meetings, best thing is to show up, Joe. Anyway, yeah. Well, and those are both good news because that fair, like I said, it's been going like well over 100 years, and it is a treat. But it's all going to stay the same. Blackwell's going to let them use the same location and everything. The only thing that's going to be different is the administration of it. Are there any other quick questions? Of course, yeah, Sheriff.
One of the big bills that we had passed the last 2 days of this legislation was the sheriff. It's supposed to be a sheriff's salary bill, but now it's a sheriff's grant bill. So basically, whatever, there's 3 tiers. First time in history, in state history, the sheriffs of the state of Oklahoma have a line item budget on the state.
Good.
So they gave us $18 million as a line item on the state budget this year. So all 77 sheriffs are gonna be able to pull from that 18 million and use it for stipends or equipment and training and stuff. And the sheriffs that don't make the minimum by law are gonna get brought up to the minimum level. It's just a grant. We have to apply for it every year, but still, it just depends on where your county falls at. Valorem population wise, there's 3 tiers, 1, 2, and 3. K County falls in tier 3, which we're ranked number 63rd in ad valorem population in the state of Oklahoma. So that means that I can apply for $300,000.
Awesome.
So $300,000 may be coming to the sheriff's office for
That's good news.
for equipment and stipends. And we just got to get that word stipend figured out what that means by the AG's office.
That's why we have attorneys, right?
Did you?
Means
Yeah.
money,
Do you-
it means money.
Does the
to
sheriff's
your
department have a
budget,
SWAT
not
team or any kind of special?
Yes, we have an ERT team that consists of 16 members right now.
Wow, okay.
They train every month, 6 to 8 hours every month, just specialized training. They have all the equipment that they need. We have several buildings that have been given to us to use throughout K County. And my guys are well prepared for any active shooter event. We've combined all municipalities, all the fire departments. We all train under the ALERT program, Advanced Law Enforcement Rapid Response Training, out of Texas State University. Basically, you know, whenever we got an active shooter or anything, EMS, the ambulance guys and the fire department would park 5 miles down the road and wait for us to say, hey, all clear. Nowadays, the way we train, we all go in at the same time. So we're able to save lives a lot quicker.
Oh, boy,
That's
yeah.
wonderful.
So, the towers, North and South Tower at Conoco, we have full access to train in that. We have full access to the school board owns that board, the old, mental health building there on Fifth Street. We have access to that to train, so, my undersheriff is in charge of that, and he, does a really good job of it.
That's Sean, right?
Yeah.
Sean Grizzly, those of you that haven't met him, there's no way he could go undercover. He looks more like a cop than anybody I've ever met in my life. Yeah.
In the alley, you
Yeah,
better be on his side.
yeah, amen to that. Okay, we got about another 2 minutes. Any other questions or comments?
He didn't, I think you mentioned this before, but for those who don't know, he can't pay anybody more than he gets paid. So, is that right?
That's correct.
So that's part of the reason why it's so easy to lose guys that he trains to the higher patrol, because he can't, even if he had the money, he's not available or able to pay them more.
Every county elected officer in K County has to make the same. We just recently starting January, the first Monday of January, each county elected official gets our raise that we were supposed to get 2 years ago. Because if you read state law versus the Constitution, one of them says that elected officials are not allowed to have a raise in the middle of their term. So we had to wait 2 years before we could get this raise. So we're getting a $4,000 a year raise come January. Basically equates to like $200 a month.
Wow.
Hey, it's fantastic, because now I can afford to do what he's saying. My undersheriff, I'm probably gonna get my butt chewed by this, but he's going to be making $50 more a month than I am for 3 months. He's worth it.
Yeah.
I don't care that he's making more than
I hear you.
You know, if a guy is worth it, I feel that he needs to be paid for it, so.
Most of these really small towns, you're it for law enforcement. You or perhaps OHP, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, the closest backup's usually 20, 30 minutes away. from
Yeah.
anything we do.
Yeah. They cover a lot of ground, and I'm sure you could use more deputies to do it. But folks, I want to thank everybody for coming. Please help spread the word about the church and about the meetings. It's real important. We gotta draw people.
And we don't have a guest speaker for next week.
I don't even know.
We're still gonna